Of course, we think it's a bad news type environment. It's not all bad news. We've got something at CommSec called the Luxury Car Affordability Index. We've got all sorts of different indexes at CommSec. This is one. And what we're using here is a BMW 320i. Of course, some in the room will say, that's not a luxury car. Well, when you're driving a 91 Falcon like myself, anything is a luxury car. Over time, car affordability has been improving. Do you know car affordability is the best since the 1970s? So we've got the fact that car prices are going down, wages are going up, everywhere except for the Commonwealth Bank, but they're going up. And that's very, very much good news. So we should be focused on these things that have become cheaper over time, like air travel, cars, and clothing and the like. And the job market is also in pretty good shape. You know, here in Victoria, you've got an unemployment rate of 5.4%. Federal Treasury usually says that unemployment of around about 5% is full employment. You're at 5.4%. Well, the big challenge for everyone in the room over the next couple of years is attracting and retaining staff. It's going to be the tightness of the job market. It's making sure that you've got good staff. So, you know, if you've got some good Gen Y type staff, long-term Gen Y staff, you know, they've been in your business for at least 6 months, good long-term Gen Y staff, got to make sure you hold on to them. Got to make sure you hold on to them. Because the share of young people, as I say, in the working age population is the lowest it's ever been. And Gen Y, well, they're a bit different, aren't they? They're a bit different. Different sort of environment. Attracting and retaining staff is going to be the big challenge for business. What does all this mean for interest rates? Well, I told you in the start, interest rates are back at normal, in line with longer term averages. Economic growth is normal. Inflation is normal. Certainly the financial markets are looking through to 2011 and 2012 and saying, yes, the risk is of higher interest rates, but not markedly so. Some economists believe we are going to see much more in terms of interest rates, and we're of that view too, that the risk is to the upside. But where things sit at the moment, the Reserve Bank has no reason to act. Things look as though they're in reasonable control. And that is very much a good news message from this presentation today. Of course, what about the Aussie dollar? A lot of people look at the Aussie dollar and say 89 US cents, isn't that great? Well, if you're a consumer, if you're a traveller, it's great. If you're in the tourism sector, not great. If you're manufacturers, it's not great. Now, you may not know where the Aussie dollar's headed tomorrow, a week, month or a year away, but the general principle is that the Aussie is likely to remain higher for longer. And that's what people need to base their decisions on. If you're doing any budgeting, if you're doing any costs, work on the fact that the Aussie dollar is probably going to be 80, 85 cents, 90 cents, not 71 cents like it has been in the past. China, demand for commodities, our strong economy, our relatively high interest rates is going to keep that Aussie dollar relatively high. As I said right at the beginning, there will always be challenging environment. What if the US goes into a relapse? We've got to remember that Asia is our major focus here in Australia and it's continuing to grow. Certainly cautious consumers out there. That means you just got to work harder to get people coming in your door rather than your competitor. There's always going to be winners and losers, even from the resource boom. But watch the job market over time. Watch the housing market too, because we are starting to see a correction in house prices. Even in Melbourne, house prices are starting to flatten out and fall. And really, that's what we want to see. We want to see more sustainability in terms of house prices, not going up through the roof. These are some of our forecasts, and you can see I've elicited the help of Paul the Octopus. We make sure that we don't leave any stone unturned in terms of finding the best forecast for you. Our view is that the cash rate more likely to rise over the next 12 months, up to around about 5.5% by the end of next year. That's a percentage point higher than where we are at the moment. That's a risk. It doesn't mean to say that it's going to get there, but if the job market continues to tighten, inflation remains at the top end of the target band, and we do see the strength happening in China, we may need to see higher interest rates. And I'll leave you with this message. Economics the science of explaining tomorrow why the predictions you made yesterday didn't come true today. Unfortunately, in economics, it's a bit like that. But the website where we got it from isn't bad either, despair.com. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.